a Serbian missile started falling on the rave when we were in it. Suddenly all the lights went off, and because everyone goes, whoa, what's going on? He goes, there is an air raid. Serbian missiles are falling a mile away. Any field or aircraft hangar was fair game. We'd use the M25 or the magic roundabout, as we called it, to be able to move 20,000 people around. One of our ravers was a Mossad agent, right, a secret Mossad agent, and he had the keys to a secret telephone exchange underneath Marylebone High Street. So he'd go in there and we would use that. But in a rave, when you lose your mates and you're in a field in the middle of nowhere you've never been to before,
that's the best feeling.
Everybody was the same.
What was it like coming up on the knee?
And I wasn't so much dancing to the music, but I was the music. You know, we were the music. We constantly find myself in situations and I'm out of my depth. I don't know what the hell's going on. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. Yeah. And there was one time when, I shouldn't be telling you. You dragged this out of me, haven't you? Someone says to me, what's the wildest party you've ever thrown? And it was...
Kirk, welcome to the show, mate.
It's great to finally be here.
It is, isn't it? We've been talking for a while.
We've had a couple of false starts, but here we are.
We're finally here. Fantastic. Yeah. Let's roll away back. How did you get the nickname, the Raving Reporter?
That's a good question. There was no job application that I actually applied for. I was working at the Raves behind the bar, selling water and Lucasade at £1 a time, and I had no aspirations to become a journalist or a reporter. But what I saw the press and the pub and the tabloids writing the lies about the parties I was at, I wanted to set the record straight. And so just with 2 fingers in the truth, that's all you need, like 3 chords in the truth, just 2 fingers in the truth. And I typed out something on my girlfriend's old Olivetti typewriter and sent it off to about 5 different places. And Mixmag picked it up. And I became their raving reporter because I'd go to the raves as a raver or as a barman, and I'd participate in every single way that was possible. But then I'd write it up afterwards. So I guess it was early days of gonzo journalism.
And where did that lead you to?
All over. I mean, I just said yes to everything. I mean, that's one of the things in the book Rave New World. It's about saying yes to opportunity.
Just roll back there. So your first book you wrote was Rave New World.
Yeah, Rave New World was written in lockdown because there was nothing else to do. And my wife just said, why don't you go and finally write that book up that you've been boring people with after parties with all these stories.
For the last 30 years.
For the last 30 years. So why don't you go and write it down? And I did. And there was no aim to get it published. It was written, I thought, to be honest with you, as a confessional to my teenage sons to tell them what their dad used to do before he was the person that limited their screen time or told them to tidy up their room. So there's recreational drug use in there. There's brushes with the law. There's hedonism, adventure, misadventure, all the mistakes and fuck-ups that I did, I put in there. And to my surprise, it was picked up, it was published, and it's been the best-selling UK club culture book for the last 2 years, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, I've heard really good stuff about it as well. So tell me about your life. In that book, you're talking about the muck-ups you made in the 90s and noughties. Tell me the route how you were earning a pound note. What were you doing? What raves were you going to? What was life like for you?
The book starts with me behind bars. I'm in the prison cell at Munich airport for the heinous crime. And this doesn't, compared with the other guests that you've had on this show, this doesn't even register. But I changed the date on my passport. Why did I do that? To get an extra 2 years on my youth rail card so I could visit my girlfriend in Leeds. And the German police picked up on it. I'd gone through 12 borders on that dodgy passport, and the 13th border was this. So I was in prison, in a jail cell in Munich airport, and they took all my money that I had. Only had 420 quid, but they took it all as a contribution to the German Red Cross, but they also took my passport as well. So the bottom line is I ended up back in the UK, homeless, penniless, jobless, hopeless. I didn't have anything at all. My band had split up. I didn't have any money. I was so for surfing. And my mate said, look, you know, if you can't afford to pay rent, can you help me out on my new bar business? It was one of you. He's an entrepreneur. He'd got this, one of Thatcher's children. And she's the godmother of Rave. She's the one that sowed all the seeds for Acid House to happen. Yeah. But so I ended up working behind the bar, Adam's, bar mitzvahs and 40th birthday parties and things. And we took a booking for this party that started at midnight for 3,000 people in an equestrian centre. And of course, we got there and our eyes went wide and our jaw dropped down the ground. It was one of these Acid House parties. And so that's how I got into it. And then I had my epiphany, which is obviously the Ecstasy epiphany, and I wasn't a drug head. I was quite clean. I'd drink, but I wouldn't even smoke. But a lot of people in that day, Dodge, didn't see Ecstasy as a drug. It sounds silly, but we didn't see it as a drug. It wasn't something that you smoked and got. It was almost like, it's not really a drug. It's because you can talk on it, you can dance on it, you can even drive on it. And so there's, what I did, the first thing I wrote was the Ravers prayer, which has been adopted, and there's a few different versions of it, and it's been done by a few people, so I've kind of adapted it, but it kind of goes, our party, which is illegal, acid be thy name. Thy rigs will come, and thy pills be done, until as light as it is at 7. Give us this day our sub-bases, and forgive those who roadblock against us, and lead us not into incarceration, but deliver us more diesel. For thine is the kick drum, the powder and the laboratory, for raver and raver. Amen.
Quality.
So it was just that, having a laugh. And that's one thing that I did. When I started writing about the scene for Mixmag, no one else was writing about it from a raver's perspective. People were either writing about it as detached journalists going, then it was 120 beats per minute Chicago house mixed into Berlin, and it's all about really sort of train spotterish. Mixmag and Jocks magazine, DJ magazine wasn't around at the time, it was Jocks magazine. It was very much into the mechanics of the music. I wrote about the social aspects of it, what it felt like to be in a convoy, what it felt like to come up on E, what it felt like to get one over on the police, and that kind of thing. And that's really what the book Raving World's about. It kind of encapsulates that feeling in that summer.
What was it like coming up on a knee?
There's a great passage in the book about that. It basically, if I'd known you asked that question, I could have read it out. But, it's sort of about, my spine became a bass line, and I wasn't so much dancing to the music, but I was the fucking music. We were the music. We were an expression of it. And it was, there was a clarity, an absolute clarity, but at the same time, a euphoria. And, it's really difficult to explain. I worked hard on the passage in my book because I knew it would be judged on that. And someone said to me, it's one of the best descriptions of coming up on an ear I've ever read. And I said, well, who's the other one? He goes, Hunter S. Thompson writes about, the same kind of thing. And then I think it was Louder Than Words called me a cross between Hunter S. Thompson and Frank Spencer. Because I keep on getting into these misadventures, and if anybody's read the book, it's all about me constantly finding myself in situations, and I'm out of my depth. I don't know what the hell's going on, and like we all do, we all go like, how the hell did I get here, and how am I going to get out of it?
So what was your journey then? You're writing for Mixmag, you're raving as well. What talent did you know you had back then?
I didn't know I had any talent. It's storytelling.
Storytelling, yeah, okay.
I like storytelling, and but really, I didn't really appreciate that. I used to like telling the stories at the after parties and things, and what happened in the raves, and collecting stories. Well, not just telling the stories, but collecting the stories. I think it's just as important. Everyone's got a story about what happened on the way back, or the guy that gets thrown out of the club early, and you find him 3 hours later in the alleyway, and he's dancing like God, and you go, "Come on, mate, it's time to go home." Because no, and he goes, "This is fucking tune, he's brilliant, it's best." I said, "What, you're dancing to the Air Extractor fan?" Am I? Those kind of stories, that's modern folklore. And really, I think that as much as though we're having a laugh here, there is a serious side to what I do. I think if now I step back and think about it, what I think my job is and what turns me on is collecting and collating and reflecting that culture that I've been part of for 35 years.
And that's why I do a podcast.
That's what you do as well.
Yeah, nostalgia.
Yeah.
Bring conversations, people in the 90s and 80s and 90s and I want their stories.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, once they're brown bread, they're gone. No one's going to know what they got up to.
Absolutely. And people like you are doing a really good job because it's spoken word. It's an oral storytelling form, which is the oldest art form. And maybe after cave paintings, people used to come back after they'd got the bison and then sit there and grunt and talk about how they caught the bison, tell everybody else. It was telling a story. To be a storyteller and to be a collector of stories.
It's an art.
I think it's an art, but it's also an honour. I think you and I we're honoured to be in this position whereby we can collect these stories and tell them to people. Yeah.
So what was that feeling like when you wrote your first book to get everything off your chest?
It took a long time because, but I had that time in lockdown, because there's all these stories that I wanted to. And one of the main reasons I wrote it as well is because a lot of people that were there that have written books about 89, about the Summer of Love in 89, weren't actually there, including two really well-known books. The authors weren't there. I know that because I was at every single rave because we did the bar, and I can't remember seeing either of those two people at any of the raves. And so it was getting to the stage where people were talking about that summer that weren't there. A lot of DJs came in sort of at 92, 93. Yeah. And, you know, they'd give their back teeth to witness 89 because they know how important and pivotal it was. And so as someone that was there, I just thought it's about time that I put the record straight there. And so those first 3 chapters, when I talk about the Summer of Love, took me as long to write as the other 21 chapters. Yeah. I had to get it right. And when I sent it to Adamski said it's the most authentic account of that year. And that to me, you know, meant an awful lot. So it was important to put that together in an authentic way, but also in an entertaining way, and also reflect what happened after that, how it changed my life for the positive. Yeah. In fact, for me, most of the book, I mean, some people read the book, I'm not going to read it because I'm not into the rave scene. Well, it's only the first 4 or 5 chapters that are into the rave scene. After that, it's me at Glastonbury, me in Russia, me in Croatia. Mixbag would send me all over the place. Yeah. And, you know, there was assassinations. I went to Croatia and there was an air raid. You know, a Serbian missile started falling on the rave when we were in it. We had to
on the rave.
All at the city. We were in Zagreb in a sports centre. 3,000 kids in a sports centre. Suddenly, all the lights went off, and everyone goes, "Whoa!" And I said to the promoter, I said, "What's going on?" He goes, "There is an air raid. Serbian missiles are falling a mile away." So it was a complete blackout. It's hard to do a blackout when you've got 3,000 kids waving. Yeah. Waving glow sticks. But do you know what was amazing? After 15 minutes, there was no music at all, so people started getting restless. So what they did, they turned over the flight cases for the speakers, and they broke into the janitor's cupboard and broke those wooden mop handles in half and started beating out like a tribal rhythm on the upturned flight case. Brilliant. And it was almost like the drummers of Burundi or Kodo drummers, and everyone's just like dancing around. So it was almost like a rave unplugged. I was stood next to Mr C from the Shaman and Westbam, and we just all had tears in our eyes just looking at this thing. It was incredible.
How would you explain Kirk Field in the 90s?
I just think I just like many people, we didn't know how good we had it. Yeah. We thought we were being naughty back then. Yeah. Do you know what? After the pandemic, after the division, after all the problems we've got at the moment with the country being ripped apart, with 9/11, it was an age of innocence. Yes. And so we felt like we could do anything.
And abundance.
Yeah.
There was an abundance of everything in the days.
I mean, the fact that the biggest threat to the government was a few thousand kids dancing in a field in Surrey. Look what they've got to deal with now. Yeah. You know, I mean, it was a great time. It just felt like we could do anything we wanted. And we did. We did absolutely everything we wanted. Apart from eat our roast dinner when we got in on the Sunday.
Stay away from that.
Another roast.
Put that in the fridge till Wednesday.
Another roasty, son. No thanks. But you haven't eaten.
You haven't.
You know, but you know, to answer your question, it was a time of freedom.
Yes,
and I think only now does it make sense that we look back on it and go, "Wow,
great memories." Why is it? Is it because there's less freedom now that we look back with? It's not like rose tinted glasses. It's not like I always remember my parents always talk about the 60s and 70s. Oh, fuck, turn it in. We had like actually that's how we are now talking about the 90s.
It is,
but I actually genuinely think the 90s. Well, I can only speak about the 80s and 90s, but I genuinely think the 90s is the best era for me personally.
Yeah, but it took
30. For whatever we had, abundance of everything. Everyone was partying. Everyone was out 6 nights a week. It was just a nice vibe everywhere. No social media, no mobile phones.
Absolutely,
no camera phones. Yeah,
you know, that's massive. I'll give you a little example. I do in the show. I do like a live show to present the book.
So say that again. You do a live show at the theatre.
Yeah, I do theatre tours, and I did the Edinburgh Fringe last year just to present. It's like the book. It's got the 3 H's in. So it's got hedonism, obviously the stories. It's got social history in there, talking about the political clampdown and stuff. And it's got humour. So there's elements of stand-up in there, and there's funny anecdotes. And I sprinkle some music in there as well. So the story that I tell about, to explain the togetherness that we had, is you go in the rave, and within 15 minutes you've lost your mates. Yeah, you've lost your mates.
And you meet a load of new people.
You meet a load of new people, and what's your name? Oh, it's Kenneth. So you start knocking around with Kenneth, and you get on really well with Kenneth. Kenneth's got a beatific glow about him. You share your water. You like the same music. You've got the same clothes. And so you knock around with Kenneth as your best mate.
Yeah.
And then you meet your mates again. And like, who's that? Oh, this is Kenneth. He lost his mates. Oh, he can be our mate. Hold on a second. Who's that? Oh, this is Julia. She lost her mates as well. Oh, we can be your mate, Julia. This is Kenneth. Julia, this is Kenneth. And then Julia and Kenneth recently celebrated their 35th wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
But that was going on all over, all these little things. Because as human beings, that blitz spirit, good news and bad news. The good news is we look after each other and we pull together. But the bad news is we only do it when we have to. And in the blitz or in times of hardship, we do it. But in a rave, when you lose your mates and you're in a field in the middle of nowhere you've never been to before.
That's the best feeling.
Everybody was the same.
Everyone's the same. Wants to have a rabbit and have a good laugh.
Yeah.
And telling good stories.
Yeah. And half the fun in those raves was afterwards. And
leaving the rave and going back to someone's house?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, or even, here's something that everybody talks about, the after parties. No one talks about what happened before the rave. I'll give you an example. We were at the South Mim service area with our 7.5-ton truck, waiting for the text that says, it's on.
We're off, yeah.
So all the ravers knew to look for that truck. So they were all round, like bees around a queen bee. They all get near. So all the ravers are there, and they're all dancing outside the car, probably done a cheeky half. Yeah. And they're in the car park at South Mim services and many other service stations. And it was like a who's who of music. Like Guru Josh was walking around with his billowy trousers. You had the Orbital Twins, Paul and Phil Hartnell. And this guy with dreadlocks. And this guy with dreadlocks was always coming around going, here, can you put my cassette on? It's my jazz funk song. It's really good. And he's a nice guy, this bloke. But I turned around to him, I said, like, look, no one is interested in lyrics or songs or singers, Seal.
Was it Seal?
It was Seal. It never held him back. And then he met up with the Damski, and he dropped the jazz funk, but then he continued his singing and his lyrics, and of course the rest is history.
For the listeners out there, Kirk, tell them about the outdoor raves, the illegal outdoor raves, because there'd be a load of people who won't actually know what this is.
Wow, well, any field or aircraft hangar was fair game, and we'd take people there because we couldn't get licenses. And, my job was, I was just a foot soldier. I was just literally the barman. I wasn't one of the promoters. And I think that's one of the things it's I think my book is the first book to be written by someone that was quite not a big superstar DJ or a promoter. But we'd use the M25 or the Magic Roundabout, as we called it, to be able to move 20,000 people around. And we used, this has only been released recently, but Tarquin from Biology confirmed this. I said, how on earth, because the police lent on BT to not let us use the voice bank, the message thing that we were using. So we had one of our ravers was a Mossad agent, right, secret Mossad agent, and he had the keys to a secret telephone exchange underneath Marylebone High Street. So he'd go in there, and we would use that to get the messages out to people, to update the text messages and the voicemail messages. And BT and the police never knew how we did it. And that's how we did it, through a secret telephone exchange underneath Marylebone High Street. So we had friends in high places, because once you'd come to the rave, you were completely on the side of that, because we thought it was something, we knew it was something that was good. It was non-judgmental. It was something that everyone was together. And we just felt that the world should have this. Even Mossad secret agents were like, the world should have this. So we were cooking a snoop to the establishment. So those parties were probably the biggest coming together, biggest consciousness raising gatherings in this country since the late 60s. They were that's why it was called the Second Summer of Love. And it was just fantastic. It's very difficult to explain what it was like. It was a beautiful chaos, but everyone was together. Everyone was unified, and once you've experienced that, you can't stop banging on about it. That there's a joke. How many old school ravers does it take to change a light bulb? 100 to want to change the light bulb, and 99 to go, it's not as good as the first one.
Tell me some of the promoters you were working with back in the day.
All the major ones, so Biology, Energy, Sunrise, Weekend World, Genesis, all Fantasy. And then I started working with Rain Dance. I started working on the first legal rave for Rain Dance as their press officer. In fact, one of the funniest chapters in the book is when the first time we told this story, we decided to be the first rave promoter to do a big rave overseas, right? Not like in a little quarry in Ibiza, but a proper big rave. So we chose, rather than choose Ibiza, which is the obvious thing to do, we chose to do it in a bull ring in Marbella. Right, and the bull ring in Marbella was owned by the council, and the head of the council was a guy called Jesus Gil, or Jesus Gil, who used to manage or own Atletico Madrid. It was basically like the Spanish Donald Trump. Yeah. He was Dodge, a bad Dodge, not your Dodge. He was bad Dodge, and so he charges 20,000. Thanks. He charges 20,000 quid to hire the venue. So we put all this, the bull ring in Portobanús. So we put all the lights up and the lasers and built all the sound and everything, built the stage. Shades of Rhythm were on, and DJ Face and Slipmat SL2. They're all there. And then on the morning of the show, we got there. I got a phone call going, right, the door's locked. They've locked up. There's padlocks on the thing. All our stuff's inside. And we're supposed to be sound checking. So I rang the town council, Inspector Jesus Hill. And he's like, no, you have not paid the money. I said, yeah, we did. We paid the money yesterday. We gave you a cheque for 20,000 quid. He goes, no, that is a day rate. Oh, no. So we had to find another 20 grand on the day of the show, which we paid. But that means we said, okay, we're short now. We can't pay the hotel or production or anything. But so we'll sell enough tickets. So we needed 2,000 tickets to break even. And I think we sold something like 170 tickets.
What year was this?
1994.
Right, okay.
It was a disaster. Yeah. It was almost like the spinal tap of Rave. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. Yeah. I knew it was going to go wrong when I got on the airplane, and there was two dealers that were going to deal to the crew and everybody, everything like that. And we thought we'll invite both of them, because one of them will get busted on the way in. So at least we've got a fail safe. We've got a backup. Yeah. But they both got on, and they both saw each other on the plane. And they weren't very happy because they both thought they had exclusivity. Yeah. So they ended up having a fist fight on the plane. So they got marched off the plane before the plane even took off. So we're fucked. We didn't have anything. So the crew worked really hard. So the crew were like, we need to score something. And so there were some girls there, some expat girls were there going, we can find some. Yeah. So the crew were that desperate by Saturday night, 9 o'clock Saturday night.
Chomping.
That they just literally gave these girls all the cash. They got loads of cash to go off. I said, well, that's it. You're not going to see them again, are you? You've given them thousands of quid. You're not going to see... And an hour later, they turned up. They go, look, we didn't get them off the usual guy, but you've got to be careful with these. They're really strong. Everyone's like, just take half. Go, no, we're working. We need to... Some people even double dropped. Anyway, a few hours later, I walked in the chapel, because every bull ring has got a chapel where the matadors pray for redemption and stuff. And I went in where we were charging all the walkie-talkies. And all the visuals and laser guys were asleep in the chapel at like 11 o'clock at night. The doors had just opened. I thought, what's going on? So then I went up to the sound man. The sound guy's asleep. They were really strong sleeping pills. Oh, no. So all of the crew, all of the crew were comatose. Yeah. It was a disaster. So as a result, we didn't get any ticket money to be able to pay for the hotel. So we had to do a runner from the hotel. So there's 34 of us we out in the middle of the night. We did that old trick of putting a pillow in the bed. You know,
like someone's kipping.
They do in the films. Yeah. And I was staying on the balcony, so I had to do a really good job with it, with a mask and everything, like a baseball cap, the whole thing. And we managed to escape, and then, of course, they did a roadblock at I think, Marbella airport, so we had to go to another Fuengirola airport, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And we managed to just jump on there before they realised we'd gone out. And as a result of that, no one got paid. The hotel didn't get paid. They shot it on 35mm. This beautiful rave was shot on 35mm film, and it's never been seen because the film company never got paid.
Yeah. Who was the promoter? Rain Dance, was it?
That was Rain Dance.
Who was the promoter? Was there a name behind that?
I'm not going to say, because it's going to be embarrassing.
Okay.
We lost 150,000 quid that night. Now, 150,000 quid
back then in '94.
You do your own.
That's got half a bar now, isn't it?
Yeah,
500 Jesus Christ. Yeah. That's a risky thing. Going, why was he thinking? Do you think? Why only go to Portobanús? Just the name at that time, mind you. In the '90s, Portobanús was the place to be.
I think what happened is more money than sense is the word, is the description. I think they went off to scout some things, and I was saying, look, come to Ibiza. There's a place I know in Ibiza that would work really well for this. And instead, they went down to Portobanús. I think they were doing some business down there. Yeah. And I met up with some expats, and they said, "Oh, we're thinking of doing a rave in the Bull Ring." So I think about doing a rave down here. Is there any venues? Yeah, there's a brilliant venue.
Yeah, okay.
So cool.
Got talked into it.
So it's one of these things. Oh yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, and it was an amazing venue.
That Bull Ring, I know where the Bull Ring is, just off the beaten track. That's where you go up the hill, haven't you?
Yeah,
okay.
So, so the venue's great, but there's no catchment area of ravers down there. There was no one. Everyone went to Ibiza. Yeah. So the whole thing, as I say, it's the nearest thing to Spinal Tap. It could be a movie in its own, that chapter. It was bonkers.
Who else was on the scene back in the 90s? That scene when it was all sort of warehouses and in the fields, open fields. What about when it went into the club scene? What was that like for you?
Well, I run my own club with a guy called Dan Prince, and we did Thursday night at Flirt.
Where's
that? Sorry, at the Milk Bar in just opposite the Astoria there, and that was quite good because what I wanted to do was, we were very lucky because Dan had as our residents, we had Paul Oakenfold and Graham Park as residents, which are really cool. And
remember how much you were paying Oakie back then?
Yeah, 250 quid.
Okay.
On a good night.
Yeah.
If it wasn't any good, he'd just go, how much is on the door? And I said, we've only taken, he'd go like, okay. He'd always give me money for my cab home and things. Yeah. That was good. And then we did the first London show from a new guy in the northwest of England, a guy called Sasha, who came down to do his first London show. And it was queuing round the block because the Face had done a thing on him. But that was good. But that attracted, started getting press, so that started attracting stars. So Danny Minogue had come down, Marky Mark had come down, and then this girl came down to review it because it was kind of half a fetish club and half a modern, half a dance club. Yeah. And so I would go, rather than book Rosala or Sabrina Johnson or something, because everybody booked them. I said to Dan, my partner, I said, give me what we got. He goes, 100 quid. I said, give me 100 quid. He goes, well, Time Out want to know who's the PA next week? Yeah. Who's a special guest? I said, I won't know until Sunday morning. He goes, but no one's open on Sunday morning. I goes, no, that's when the News of the World comes out. Whoever's on the front page of the News of the World will book. Yeah. So we booked like Lindy St. Clair, Miss Whiplash. We booked Tuppy Owen from the Sex Maniacs Ball. It was the time when John Major's government was rotten to the core, and there was a sex scandal every week. Yeah. So whoever was in there, whoever was knobbing one of the cabinet ministers, I'd book and they'd come down, which generated even more press.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Tell me your personal journey, your business journey now. So you're reporting, you're raving, you're having it off, and da-da-da. Did you ever think about setting up your own business within that period?
It was the thing about the 90s. We kept on being told it was going to end. Yeah. It's going to be end as soon as summer breaks. I never started planning. I didn't realise it would be like an industry. It was never an industry. So I was very slow off the mark. Okay. It was only really in 1999 when the second book starts, Planes, Trains, Amphetamines, that my wife said, look...
Hold on. Planes, Trains and Amphetamines.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Quality name. Tell me where that come from.
Well, I've worked in clubbing travel for 25 years, and I just thought it'd be really a really snappy title. It's caught me into a lot of trouble, actually.
Has it?
It's been banned from Australia. The Australian Border Force won't let it in. I mean, I think, it's arrived. I've got quite a lot of Australian pre-orders on it, and it was all sent down there. And then I get all these messages saying, it's been impounded by the Australian Border Force. And I thought, okay, that's in my publisher, instead of writing clubbing travel confessions, he obviously put contents, planes, trains, and amphetamines. So you can imagine the Australian Border Force, who's get excited about dubious Chinese vegetables or an apple in someone's backpack. Yeah. And they're going like, yeah, Bruce, planes, trains, and amphetamines. Let's have a look at it. It's not a plane. It's not a train. And they're probably going like, yeah. Nah, it's not amphetamine either. But the thing is, what happened is after 2 weeks, I thought they'd release it. After 2 weeks, they're reading it. Yeah. They elevated it to red line status. Okay. And I looked what red line status is, and it means that this is a potential biosecurity threat to Australia. And it's like, I mean, there is a couple of chapters in there, especially one in a New York sex club, where Madonna may have been and where Billy Idol may have been, and a world famous golfer was, who my lawyer said I'm not allowed to name. But it just
is he sponsored by Nike?
I'm not into my golf, so I wouldn't be able to know. But you're probably saving us both from a lawsuit.
So yeah, it's true.
But I mean, that chapter is quite near the knuckle.
Okay.
And so
what made you write the second book then, Planes, Trains and Amphetamines?
The first book went down so well, and it ended in 89. Sorry, it ended in 99, and there's been so many stories since then. that it just felt natural thing just to continue. And also, when I submitted the manuscript for Planes, Trains, Amphetamines, I submitted 128,000 words.
That's a lot.
And they only wanted 85,000.
Right, okay.
So straight away I had 30,000 words there going. And my agent just goes, just move it over to the second book. I'm like, is there going to be a second book?
Or third book, you mean? Oh, 128,000 for the first book?
Yeah.
Oh, I see, okay.
So that came up to the second book. So I already had like a core of it.
Okay.
And then there's so many stories that happened in Ibiza and in snowbombing. I mean, I work out in Austria.
Yeah.
And I started off, I took snowbombing 2 mile off in Austria. And I've worked on that for 20 years. And that I've worked with many. I'll tell you a little story, actually.
Go on.
So I shouldn't be doing this. So I run the igloo party at the top of the mountain.
Yeah, I know.
You know about it?
Yeah.
All right. So, we have Fatboy Slim, Cage Baby, James Zabiela. They all play. Carl Cox plays. So DJs know I do it. So they're always got, any chance I can do the warm-up? And I said, no, I don't do the programming. And anyway, one guy with a guitar is over. They've been playing the road trip. And he comes out and he goes, I believe you run the igloo party at the top. Any chance I can play? I was like, mate, it's dance music. He goes, yeah, but I know there's a fire outside, isn't there? Maybe I could just play some songs around the campfire. I'm like, well, it's minus 15 up there. He goes, well, I'm used to being cold. I can play in fingerless gloves. I'm like, mate, it's really not going to work. But, thanks a lot for offering. Yeah. So he went away. 5 minutes later, he's back on my shoulder again, hovering. I looked around. He goes, I believe there's a queue for the cable car. I said, yeah, that's right. The cable car can take 100 people up and it makes 3 journeys. And so there's a queue for it. He goes, any chance I can play the queue? It won't cost you anything. I went, the thing is, what I didn't tell him is that people turn up off their tits.
Yeah, so I was going to say, yeah.
Or they're all, dressed as Smurfs or Oompa Loompas or whatever.
They've been on the sauce all day.
Yeah, on the sauce, on the schnapps.
Yeah.
And so I was like, mate, it's really not going to work. I said, they're a bit leery and everything. They'd probably just ignore you. Oh, I'm used to being ignored. I busk on the tube and people just walk past me all the time. I'm like, little fresh-faced kid. I'm like, mate, I'm going to say no. It's in your best interests. I'm really sorry, but there you go. Anyway, shook hands and sort of slunk off. And that's how I turned down 3 free Ed Sheeran shows.
Was it Ed Sheeran, was it?
Yeah.
Was it? Quality.
Hasn't held him back.
No, it hasn't, has it? Jeez. What was he like back then? What year are we talking?
That was 2016, I think. And the fact, if anyone goes, don't believe that. If you look on his, I think it's in my book, but I think if you look on his Twitter feed as well, he did something like, I'm playing Snowbombing tonight, and I think there's 2 likes and 1 retweet, probably from his mum. But he managed to get a gig. He blagged a gig for the first 15 minutes after the doors opened down at our place called the Racket Club, where I think Professor Green was playing that night. And he managed to get I'll just do the first 15 minutes. We usually just put a tape on for the cassette on for the first 15 minutes. Cassette? What am I talking about?
But he's such a humble human being. I played down here at Fire Station in Bournemouth, like 200 quid.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's such a humble guy. I'm not saying that's before he blew up, but he's done the round. He's put the old graft in to see where he is today.
As well, Dodge? Yeah. He played, and I said to everyone, I said, what was he like? What was that kid like? And he went, John Drape, who runs a lot of festivals, he went like, the guy's going to be huge. Yeah. Because he's absolutely brilliant. So I think he did 4 or 5 songs. So, good luck to him, Have
you got anything to shout out to Ed? Have you got anything to say to him right now?
Yeah, I'd do the same thing again tomorrow, Ed, because your best interests at heart. I didn't want you being hassled by the Smurfs. Yeah,
exactly. Tell me more. Tell me another chapter in your book. How many chapters are in the second book here?
I think there's 27. There's some Ibiza story. I'll give you an Ibiza story, yeah?
Yeah, please.
So, the worst people are the people that come to Ibiza for the first time, the people that go overseas for the first time. They're the ones that they have not used to handling a passport. That's the worst thing. So they arrive, and of course, the red-eye flight, they all go, I've got a flight to Ibiza, it's only 29 quid. But then
5 in the morning.
At 5 in the morning. So they spend 50 quid on the cab, then they spend breakfast, and then a couple of pints. So by the time they actually get they've already spent 150 quid, and they say, well, just get a decent flight. Anyway, so they get into Ibiza, they've got to check into the hotel, they can't check in until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so they're on the sauce. So by the time they're checking in, they're munted, right? So I'm there going, right, girls, first thing you do when you get in your room is you don't go out with your passport, put your passport in the safety deposit box. Well, that's one of them. I said, it's like a long thing. It's like dial on. You just put it in there, put it in. It's not going to cost you anything. Just turn it, put your code in and leave it there. 15 minutes later, they're coming down. Right, we're going out on the town. I said, you got your passports? No, we did exactly what you said. I said, fantastic. 4 days later, I get a call. It's Janine from the Poniente. I said, yeah, what's it, John? I can't find my passport. I said, you put it in your safe deposit box. Oh, bloody hell, I did, didn't I? Thanks a lot. Half an hour later, it's not in there. I said, what? It's not in there. I said, look, go down to reception, ask them to just make sure. So, you're not in the back or anything. So she goes down, reception ring me, go, Kirk, it's not in there. I said, right, can you pass her back? No, she has gone down to the airport. I said, she's gone down to the airport for a flight without a passport. She said she will take her Facebook page to show them who she is.
Okay.
I'm like, oh no, I'm going to have to head him off at the pass because this girl, big eyes like sauce, is going to cause a problem down the airport. So I got on my scooter. I'm going down the airport. 4 times I get missed calls. My phone's around my neck ringing like my old Nokia. What else going on? I finally stopped, parked my bike, opened it like, hi me, what, he called me. Kirk, it's okay, we have found her passport. I said, oh, so it was in the safe deposit box? No, it was in the microwave.
So she's put
it in the fucking microwave. This is my world. Another time, I remember, oh God, I was at a Sunset bar and I was keeping an eye on everyone. And one girl was getting a bit upset, getting a bit emotional, and she was crying. So I thought, okay, well, you don't know what it is, you just leave it. Half an hour later, she's really sobbing uncontrollably. I said to a friend, what's going on there? I did that Gaza face,
Gary Lineker was like, yeah.
I did that, and she went, I said, look, can I take her out? Yeah. So I said, I'll tell you what, do you want to come out and watch the sunset, get away from the party, I'll bring you a glass of water. She goes, yeah, all right then. So I went outside, we sat on the patio there, on the, you know what it is, in San Antonio. So I said to the friend, I said, what is it? She goes, a grandma died last week and she's feeling really guilty. She's on holiday and everything. I said, right, okay. So I went and sat down. I said, look, I'm really sorry to hear about your grandmother, but grief is the price we pay for having loved someone.
Yeah.
And last thing she would want is you to be upset and feeling guilty on your holiday. And she goes, it's not as simple as that. I said, well, why isn't it? She goes, well, it was the funeral just before we came away and we all split up our ashes and I put some in an envelope and I came in last night, in the middle of the night, off my tits, and I snorted me grand. I'm like, what do you say? What do you say? I'm like, for once I was speechless. So these are the kind of things that the book's full of, these kind of stories.
Yeah. Let's just go through the content here. Just go through the chapters here so people can. So chapter 1.
Okay, we've got the 10 commandments of clubbing.
So this
travel.
is the book, Planes, Trains, and Amphetamines.
Yeah. Armin van Roadside. That's about an amputation in a car accident.
Yeah.
In Bed with a Fraudster. That's when I set up my company, and it ended up being the guy that I was my lawyer ended up to be done. I think he was done for fraud for embezzling the government out of £4 million. Holiday history, that's classic. That's about the times I went as holiday as a kid. So I'll talk about caravan holidays in the 70s. Yeah. And also when I was an air cadet, the first time I went overseas, the first time I flew in an aeroplane I was in ATC. I wanted to be in the RAF. And it's like that bonkers stories. Like we went to this German air base and, each day you're with air traffic control one day, fire service next day, the police dog handling team the next day, the catering the next day. So you get an overview of what it's like to be in the RAF. So we were the engineers, and I was and I'm not very good at engines and things, so I was pretty useless. So the guy just goes, you just sit on there. So I just sat on there while he was changing the engine, and I was just like banging my heels against this thing. I was going like, so are the nuclear weapons on this space? He's like, we're not allowed to tell you that. I said, yeah, but it's frontline station. Remember, this was Cold War, 1978. I said, yeah, but it's frontline station. There's got to be nuclear weapons here, isn't there? As I've told you before, we're not allowed to talk about that kind of thing. I said, yeah, but mate, come on, I'm not a Russian spy or anything. He goes, give me a hint. And he goes, if you keep banging your fucking heel against that missile, I won't need to give you a hint. You're going to take us all with you. So I was sat on a nuclear missile, banging my heels against it.
What's the other chapters? Read them out.
So what we got, from pirate radio to the shipping forecast. That's when I started doing club cruises across the North Sea.
Yeah.
And that really made things interesting for the Hamburg border police. who got a call from Harwich that there was 600.
So you were taking people from England abroad, were you?
I did the first international club cruise. Yeah, pulled that off.
Go on, tell me about that.
Well, that was bonkers.
What year are we talking here?
That was 2002, I think.
Okay.
We managed to do 670 people across the North Sea, and everything was going swimmingly until the Force 8 gale hit.
Right. Okay.
And so literally, it was like this. Everyone's line dancing from one section to the other. And so that was crazy. But I managed to do a few of them, enough to get a deposit down on my house.
Yeah.
That was the first time I raised any real money, and that enabled me to buy a house in Enfield. That was the first time I ever made any money from doing this. But boy, did I earn it! And then from there,
that's a schlep. That's hard work taking 600 odd people abroad.
It's even worse, even harder bringing them back, Dodge, when they don't turn up for the ferry.
Yeah.
And then another time...
so you give me an example. You take them abroad. Where are you taking them to? Are they partying? Where are they clubbing? Give us a break.
Yeah. So it was basically one of these mini cruise breaks. So the thing is, you only got 5 hours in Hamburg. So 5 hours is long enough because it was 2 overnight crossings. So we did a party on the way over there and a party on the way back.
On the boat?
On the boat, okay. Yeah. We took the sound system on there. We weren't allowed lasers and smoke because of like Mayday signals and things. And so we took the sound systems on there. Fergie played, Groove Armada. No, Groove Armada didn't pay. I couldn't afford them. They wanted 500 quid. So I couldn't do them. I think Rhythm Masters, various other people. A man called Adam I'd on there as well. Loads of hard house DJs. And so we did that. And it got to a stage where I said to my wife when I got back, I said, look, the DJs are getting more and more needy. And we have to weight the needles down with eider downs and with on pillows and things like that because it was like this the days that we were in vinyl, and so we were watching Most Haunted. Do you remember Most Haunted, like Derek Acorah? And my wife said, I was laughing at Derek Acorah. I said, he's great, he's a real professional, he's got real charisma. And she said, why don't you put him on the boat? I said, what? She goes, why don't you put him on the boat? He won't want a gram of coke, like his two, like the DJs do, or you won't have problems with the mixing or anything like that. So to cut a long story short, I started doing psychic cruises across the North Sea because I needed to earn some money because my wife wasn't working. First kid came along, and so I was the bread earner. And so I needed something more than the club cruises. So I did these psychic cruises with Derek Acorah and various other TV mediums at the time, which is quite an eye-opener. And there's a great chapter, and that's called Beyond the Rave. Beyond the Grave. Competition sinners, that's all about when you look after competition winners. We had one, it was a former, I don't know if he played for England, but he played for a few Premier League London sides, and he'd managed to blag something from his mate at the News of the World, and he came out on one of my competition winners. I can't name him for obvious reasons, but he didn't leave his hotel room for 3 days because he's not been one of the other competition winners. And it got to a stage where this girl, eventually, a friend was really worried because, look, she hasn't emerged from this guy's room for 3 days. Can you do something about it? And I said, well, so I opened the door. I said, is she there? Have you kidnapped her? No, she's fine. She's here. Anyway, eventually she came out and she's really upset because he had a picture of his wife and kids on the bed that he put down. So he was doing the naughty stuff. And then he went back and I thought, okay, he's gone. That's fine. I'll never hear him again. And then he made a letter of complaint to Orange, who were running the competition at the time, to say that his room had never been cleaned all the time he was there, which was true. It wasn't, because he never left it, because he used it as a sex pit. And so they had to give him a refund and 500 quid compensation. And I was sorely tempted to name him, but, I'm not going to do it. But these are the kind of things. So competition winners are always trouble. They're always problems. So that's up at competition winners. Shuddering Heights. Now that's about this time I started working in the Alps, in the Austrian Alps, and we had various people out there. Like Liam Gallagher was looking after Liam Gallagher on a skidoo. He didn't want to go snowboarding or skiing or paragliding. He just wanted to ride on a skidoo. So I sorted him out to be riding all the way around the mountain on this skidoo. And I was doing a party at the time with Idris Elba. Idris Elba was in one of the mountain restaurants. So the skidoo driver came down, so it was going to be all the bank of photographers there. So Liam was going to get off. I was going to present Liam with a bottle of beer, and we were going to have a photograph taken because no one had taken any photos of Liam until then. He hadn't been in a resort. So he pulls up and he gets off and he's like, what the fuck are they? I said, the photographers. What are they here for? I said, they're for you. Can they take your camera? Can they take your picture? No, my fucking hair's a mess. I haven't had a shave. So he pulled his fucking hood down like this, got back on the skidoo and buggered off. He wouldn't let anyone take his picture. And one of the public, I said to the one of the paparazzi guys, I go, sorry about that, lads. I said, he just didn't want to come in. He said, yeah, I'm not surprised. He goes, it's Idris was playing, isn't he? I said, well, yeah, what's the deal there? And they all started laughing because apparently Idris Elba and Liam Gallagher had a big set to at the NME Awards, I think the year before, and one of them threw another one's hat off and they ended up squaring up and everything. And there's me trying to bring Liam Gallagher to Idris's party, and it didn't happen. So World War III was averted.
Yeah. Tell me about festivals you've done.
The festivals really in this country, I've more done things like stage managing, things like Southwest 4 with Eric Murillo, and I could see
Clapham Common.
Yeah,
for you.
Yeah,
going.
No, I don't think it is. My mate Damo did that.
Okay.
That was Southwest 4 was a big thing, and my job was stage manager. And Eric Murillo was there. I mean, Eric Murillo was. I mean, he ended really badly with Eric Murillo, but I could see his attraction to women, and also how women were attracted to him. Literally, I said, because I said to him, playing at midday. I went up to the decks. I said, Eric, do you want anything? He goes, yeah. He goes, can you get me some chicken? Because it was like one of the chicken things, fried chicken. Can you get me some chicken? And also the girl in the end on the front row in the hat. He went, I'm serious. So I got the chicken and went to the girl in the hat and I said, look, Eric Murillo says, do you want to come backstage? Yeah, I'll do that. So she come backstage and they'll give her a pass. So she came back and Eric finished his set and we had a helicopter waiting at Battersea Airport, Battersea Helipad, to fly him up to Creamfields where he was playing. And this girl got on with him and left like that. I thought nothing more about it until I went out for some chicken for myself. There's this guy there, absolutely raging, and the security holding him back, and he was trying to have a go at me. I said, well, what's the matter? He goes, you took my girl from me.
Oh,
I said, what? He goes, the girl in the hat. And he had like 2 pints in his hand. Her boyfriend had gone to the bar, and she'd gone on
She's done the Houdini, jumped on a chopper at Liverpool.
Yeah. I mean, so that was what that kind of life was like for Eric Murillo. So, it doesn't make it all right that he overstepped the mark. I know people that he abused and that he raped.
Yeah.
He was completely out of control.
Yeah.
But that's what happens when people throw themselves at someone. They lose control of the reality of the situation and respect that people should have. And that thing that, it should always be consensual.
How have you seen the festival world change since the 90s to where we are today? One
of my biggest bugbears is the gap between the audience and the stage. I think that ruins intimacy.
Yep.
And watch Glastonbury every year, and my heart sinks because it gets to a stage where you could drive an articulated lorry through that. Initially, there should be a pit there for security and for photographers, but then it gets wider and wider and wider. I'm like, it's almost like 50 yards sometimes. Yeah. And bearing in mind the reason why we go to these things, it's a gathering, and we go to connect. We go to connect with the music and the artist. This is not in anyone's interest, these large big gaps. So I don't like that aspect of it. I think Glastonbury, I mean, the chapter in Rave New World that people come to me more than anything else is Animal Farm, PHARM. And that's when Mixmag sent me to Glastonbury in 1990. And it was the last time that Glastonbury was kind of feral.
Yeah.
And the Travellers were running it, and guys on, Hells Angels on bikes were running things. And it was too edgy, to be honest. It was too edgy then, but it's too corporate now. So it's gone from Mad Max to Pepsi Max. And I think it's just too safe. It's too genteel. It's too white, middle class, middle aged. I mean, my sons can't afford to go to Glastonbury.
Yeah. How much are this year? 350?
So something like that.
About 350 or something. Yeah.
And I think I just don't like the fact that the BBC, it's almost like a national treasure now. And the thing about
I think it is a national treasure.
Well, it is. It's the best festival in the world.
I think it's the best festival in the world. And I know you say it's gone commercial, but without that being commercialised, we wouldn't have Glastonbury.
I think we would.
It's a £60 million turnover business with a £6 million net profit.
I've got no problem with it. I think what the problem I've got with it is that BBC only concentrate on the main two stages like it's a band thing. Yeah. I think they should reflect what goes on the other stages as well.
It's probably a good thing they don't show what goes on the other stages, to be fair.
Maybe that's right.
Yeah. Otherwise, everyone would be like, oh no.
Maybe you've hit on something there.
There's a brilliant corner of Glastonbury, the south east corner. What's the name of it, Dill? Where we go party? You go partying there till like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
What's it called? Block 9. Unbelievable. I think that is the best party in the world. There's got to be like 10, 20,000 people there, but it's just this whole rave scene meets party scene meets everything with hidden. It's truly amazing. It's like a little amphitheatre that's built.
It is. I think
Glastonbury is wonderful.
I think it's the best festival in the world. I just think I've got a problem with the way that it's portrayed.
In what way?
Well, big bands of all. The problem with just showing the main stage and the bands is you attract people who just want to see the bands on the main stage. Yeah. I think they should have it. They should be highlighting what you've just said there, because my sons don't want to go to Glastonbury because they think it's
every time I go to Glastonbury, I don't care who's playing. I don't care who's on the main stage. I'm never on the main stage to look at. I don't care. I'm finding little quirky parties in the field,
absolutely,
in the forest, and chatting to random people and going into different places and having a drink and having a laugh.
A wise man said to me once, the best thing about Glastonbury is all the big international bands that play there who you can miss, who you can ignore, and go and see the guy that's dressed like an orange.
Yeah, it's true. 220,000 tickets sold.
Yeah.
Within minutes.
It's not happening next year.
Yeah, maybe, isn't it?
But after that, there are rumours that it's going to move into like an arena model.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they'll make more money if people can't bring food and drink in, and if the campsite is off site, there are rumours that it could be up Bath and Western Showground and people be busting.
No, I can't see that. I can't see that.
And the only people that will be allowed to camp would be the artists and the media. Now, that's just a rumour, unfounded rumour, but these whispers are going round.
The thing is, the problem you've got these days, the food prices have jumped up so high. Yeah. You go in there and you're going, I'll have a burger and chips, and you're going, 17 quid? Jesus Christ, where's that come from? People can't afford it these days. People are affording their ticket, but people are spending less because they're less in their pocket.
Well, it's the same as Ibiza. I mean, when I used to go to
I just got back from Ibiza a couple of days ago. I went to the new club Universe.
Oh, yeah, what's it like?
10,000 cap, massive. I was thinking, I'm not going to that club. It opens at midnight, finishes at 6. I think I ain't going to that club. And that's massive, 10,000 people. That's like a medium-sized festival. Got there, it was outstanding.
Yeah.
They spent £84 million building this club. It used to be the old Privilege.
Yeah.
But what I think's happening, or has happened in the last month, is you're going to see this mega club is the same owners as High, which was the old space. All of a sudden, they're taking the market share, and all of a sudden, you're going to see an Amnesia close on a Friday night, which is across the road. You're seeing all these other clubs, having 20% people taken away from them. It's going to cause a huge problem on the island.
I think what Matusis is going for is the monopoly. I heard from a source last week that Carl last Sunday had 8,000 in.
I was there. That's what I was there.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was very good.
Yeah.
And it was all air-conned. When I was going in there, I was thinking, oh, Jesus Christ, you're talking, it's like a military operation there. You must have, I'm guessing, but as a festival owner, I went there, I was like, this is run really well. Security, polite, you had to go through different phases. The VIP section was really quick. Bam, 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 you're in. And the beauty of this club, it was, like, if you go to Pasha, the whole floor is like VIP. There's no VIP because everyone's bloody got VIP. But Universe was like a big Heathrow Airport style massive club with aircon, the bars dotted around. You go through these little tunnels and you go to other smaller parts of the club. It truly was a great experience. And I was thinking, after being in fucking hundreds and thousands of clubs in my life, I was thinking, it's just gonna be another big lump of a club. It was amazing.
That's good to hear. That's really good to hear. That in the first book, there's a chapter called "Alone in the World's Biggest Club."
Yeah.
And it's when Privilege, before it was called Privilege, it was called Coup.
That's right.
And it was closed for a year, or maybe 2 years, because they didn't.
I really like Coup.
They didn't pay the drinks bill. So I went up there on my moped. It's in book one. This I went up there on my moped, and I thought, and a window had been smashed. So I jumped in, and it was like the light was coming through the window, and the set was still there from the last party they did in sort of 1990 or 91. And then this guard dog came out. I ended up hiding in a cupboard, and I was trapped in. So I was the only one in that club, and so I can't wait to go back and see it as Universe.
You wouldn't know. You wouldn't spot it. This is unbelievable. £84 million.
Wow.
So let that sink in. And it's funny when you get there. You look at the bar price. You're up there. It's like €18 for a bottle of beer. Vodka and Coke, €40. Like, it's serious money for people to go there. And people are paying £100 a ticket. So you can see how the sums work. You can see why they've invested so much. But there's only a certain amount of people who can go to the island, We went out there for the Clockwork Orange party for the week, which was amazing. Went into 5 different clubs. It was 5 to 8. Went into Es Paradis. There's no aircon in there. That's like from 4 till midnight, and you're getting there like, I got there like 7. The place was like a sweatbox. There's no, and then you go to Universe and they've pumped all that money in. But
well, that's say Esparides don't put that money back. It's a glorified greenhouse for Pepe, the owner. I mean, he spends more time spraying his plants in the afternoon than putting reconditioning.
Yeah, there's no big investment there, but I still like that vibe of that club for some reason. It's just got a different vibe with different sections when you're raised up and lower. But we went to a new one called 528. And it's an outdoor club, and they sort of like raised up like a little mini amphitheatre. That's fantastic.
Well, I used to do a Captured festival there. That was our venue when I'd run a Captured festival for 3 or 4 years.
What venue?
It was called. Now it's called 528, but then it was called Benny Musa Park or Bandon Zoo.
That wasn't it a zoo before?
Yeah, Bandon Zoo. So I used to work there. In fact, I did story in here about. I used to do my welcome meetings there 20 years ago. So we used to bus everybody up there, and there was one time when I shouldn't be telling. You dragged this out of me, haven't you? So someone says to me, "What's the wildest party you've ever thrown?" And it was the one at, now it's called 528. It was the zoo there, and it had just been closed a few years. So we had 500 people up there, 500 Aussies up there, and these Russian girls turned up, and we let them in because they look beautiful. So okay, you can come in, even though it's not open to the public. It's just my group, and they must have had some really heavy loaded pills, and so. It really loved up pills. So the next thing is there's people having sex in the pool, and the barbecue area. There's spit roasts going on that were nothing to do with meat, and it was like turning into one of these bacchanalian orgies. And then just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, honest truth, I'm sat with the owner Barty, and the head of security comes out and he goes, "You will not be." He said something to Barty in Spanish, and Barty was like, "You must tell Kirk, and he goes, "No, I cannot." I said, tell him. I said, "Tell me, what is it, Mateus?" He goes, "One of your guests, I just caught one of your guests having sex in the bushes." I was like, "Oh, right. Have you stopped them?" "I stopped him." I said, Who is he having sex with?" "No, you cannot." "What, boy? A girl?" "No, not a boy or a girl, no." Then there's loads of cats running around, and I'm like, "Not a cat." He's going, "A cat? You're crazy, you think..." I said, well, who is it then?" "I cannot tell you," Barty said in Spanish. "Tell him." He goes, "He was having sex with a tree." One of my guests was having sex with a tree. That's how good these were. And that happened at 528.
Yeah. 528's good. Yeah. I tell you what I really liked as well. I've been going there for like 30 odd years. So I've pretty much done most of it out there. But there's a place there called Cova Centre.
Yeah.
That's one of my favourite venues.
Yeah, the old cave, isn't it?
Yeah, one of my favourite venues. And you've got a club inside as well. It's outdoor, raised up.
I haven't been to that one.
Mate, it's amazing. Anyone who goes to my booth, go and check out Cova Centre.
Yeah.
There's loads of good stuff out there.
It's I like the open air thing. That's 528.
Open air's key.
Air thing,
Day parties is key. Nothing really good happens after midnight.
Yeah.
When you get to a certain age. Do you know what I mean? But again, Universe didn't open until midnight and goes till 6 a.m.
And how long did you stay? You managed it?
Yeah, a few hours. Yeah, I just went in there, just got on the list. I just wanted to see for my own eyes, but I actually stayed there a lot longer than I thought I was going to stay, because I was thinking 10,000 people in a club. It's not my cup of tea, but actually it was truly fantastic.
I mean, it's got to be good because it puts Ibiza back. Certainly the area I work in, I do a thing called Ibiza Trans Week. I put that together. Ibiza Trans Week.
Trans Week.
Trans.
Oh, trans.
Trans Week. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong. They're all welcome. No, Ibiza Trans Week.
Okay.
So ITE, Ibiza Trans event. So it's always the last week of September. We're marketing partners on the Kevin and Perry party at Amnesia. And also we've just announced Paul van Dyk Shine party at 528.
Oh, lovely.
Which my DJs will be playing at as well.
Lovely.
And then we're also doing God's Kitchen 25-year anniversary, again at Amnesia, which is a beautiful club, Amnesia.
I want to get the owners of God's Kitchen on. God's Kitchen, I want to get them on.
Okay.
Are they still about?
The guy that owns the brand now, Mark, I think he also looks after Calvin Harris, and he might even be involved with Marcus Rashford somewhere. So he doesn't often do a lot of press.
Okay.
I think the brand's run in Ibiza by Nick Ferguson, who also looks after the press for Camel Fat. And I'm sure he'd love to talk to you, because next time you're out there, I can hook you up.
Yeah,
he's got some great stories.
Just because they get those old brands, the sort of Miss Moneypennies, the God's Kitchens, the Creams, again, nostalgia. Yeah. Because how many hundreds of thousands of people have they thrown parties for?
Yeah. How many hundreds of thousands of people have they made happy?
I agree. But that's what we do for a living.
Yeah.
I was in the nightclub throwing sold over 1 million tickets to people throwing parties in clubs and festivals. You know, we're putting smiles on people's faces and making people happy, and people are meeting new people for life. It's a powerful thing.
When I did, it's also a beautiful thing. When I did the theatre tour last year, so it takes 2 parts.
Yeah.
So the first part is my one-man show that I did at the Fringe. It's me doing my stand-up and that kind of stuff. In part 2, I call it, I have a guest, and I call it Acid House Cabaret. So Acid House Chat Show. And each night I have what's called an agent of unity, which is exactly what you've just been just been describing. Someone whose job is to bring people together. Yeah. And those agents of unity include, Fatboy Slim or Sister Bliss, or promoters. Yeah. Some promoters did the Blackburn Raves, or Madders from Sunday Central. Anyone who really gets turned on by bringing people together. I didn't mean
there's a few of us.
Yeah.
It's not many, but there's a few of us who have brought lots of people together.
I think it's an honourable thing. It's God's work.
I agree. Or Madders from... Mate, I've got to get him on.
Madders is a brilliant guest, because he did the whole thing. He's in Birmingham, but he did. I can send you the script of what he did. The journey from recreational drug use to habitual drug use to addiction to recovery, and now he works with young people in drugs. So you've got that real character arc there from Madders, and also tells some brilliant stories.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, Kirk, tell me what the future is for you.
I don't like that. I don't like that question. It's always scared me. The future's always scared me. I say in one of the books, there's no past and there's no present. All we've got is the now. Yeah. And when I sign it to people, I always write the journey is the destination. I don't envisage myself what I'm going to be in 5 years' time.
No. But I'm just talking like the future now. Like you've written 2 books.
Oh, right.
You're going on tour. Like what's the next thing for you? You're a person that I know that can't sit still, always looking for the next thing. What is it?
I just want to keep expressing and recording this thing. So I'm going to do more shows. I'm working on the 3rd book. Yeah. The 3rd book, I'll give you an exclusive here.
What's it called?
The 3rd book is going to be called Fake That: Adventures in Tribute Land, and it refers back to 1997 when you're 5 pints in with your mates and one of them has an idea and you go, we've got to do it, and you plan it all out and you wake up
and you think, oh no,
and you go, no, I'm not going to do that. That's stupid. Yeah. Well, we did this in 97 about the big Pet Shop Boys fans. Oh, we could do a Pet Shop Boys tribute band. No one else does that. Let's do that. So we worked out what we were going to call it, what we were going to be dressed like, everything, where we were going to play, and we drew ourselves up 10 quests. So what we're going to do, we're going to be on radio, we're going to be on television, we're going to play GAY, we're going to be do an in-store, we're going to be big in Japan. And so we actually achieved all of those things. 9 of those things we achieved, apart from being big in Japan. So the premise of the book is the band gets together after 30 years and goes to Japan to be big in Japan. And it's all the stories that happened when I was in that tribute band for just 1 year, from 97 to 98.
Mate, this is quality. Quality, mate. I love how your brain works.
Someone's got to do it.
I love how your brain works. Mate, I'd love to sit down and have a few pints with you.
Yeah, next time in Ibiza,
mate, 100%.
Let's hook up.
Kirk, I've really, really enjoyed this.
Well, so have I, and I'm glad we finally met after all these
Same,
times.
because we've been chatting for a while now.
Yeah.
And actually to make it sit down together and have a proper good chat.
And I think you do this better than anyone else does this as well. I know there's been other people have started doing this, and you've inspired people, which is good. But I do think you're at the cornerstone of this. The way that you do it, the way you approach it. You've got a very affable way of letting your guests speak, and at the same time directing them when you want it to do it. So you're really good at what you do.
It's very kind of you, mate. Yeah. Very kind of you. You're a gentleman.
And
good man, Kirk. Good
Cheers,
man.
Dodge.
Cheers, mate. I appreciate that.
See ya.
Loved it. Mate, that is quality.
It's all right.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah.
Mate.
Unreal.
Yeah, mate. Kirk, that was really good. Thanks for watching, guys. If you'd like to see someone on the show, leave a comment below. And if you haven't already, do us a favour, show us a bit of love, press the subscribe button, and it allows us to grow the show even bigger and bigger each week. Nice one.